Emptiness, Defilements, and Purification. Subhuti asked, "How is perfect wisdom marked?" The Lord said, "It has non-attachment for mark." Subhuti asked, "Would it be feasible to say that the same mark of non-attachment which exists in perfect wisdom exists also in all dharmas?" The Lord said, "So it is, Subhuti, for all dharmas are isolated and empty. Therefore, that same mark of non-attachment which makes perfect wisdom isolated and empty also makes all dharmas isolated and empty." Subhuti said, "If all dharmas are isolated and empty, how is the defilement and purification of beings conceivable? For what is isolated cannot be defiled or purified. What is empty cannot be defiled or purified, and what is isolated and empty cannot know full enlightenment. Nor can one get at any dharma outside emptiness which has known full enlightenment, which will know it, or which does know it. How then shall we understand the meaning of this teaching? Show us, O Sugata." The Lord said, "What do you think, Subhuti? Do beings course for a long time in I-making and mine-making?" Subhuti said, "So it is, Lord." The Lord said, "Are also I-making and mine-making empty?" Subhuti said, "They are, Lord." The Lord said, "Is it just because of their I-making and mine-making that beings wander about in birth and death?" Subhuti said, "So it is, Lord." The Lord said, "It is in that sense that the defilement of beings becomes conceivable. To the extent that beings take hold of things and settle down in them, to that extent is their defilement. But no one is thereby defiled. And to the extent that one does not take hold of things and does not settle down in them, to that extent can one conceive of the absence of I-making and mine-making. In that sense can one form the concept of the purification of beings, that is, to the extent that they do not take hold of things and do not settle down in them. To that extent there is purification. But no one is therein purified. When a bodhisattva courses thus, he or she courses in perfect wisdom. It is in this sense that one can form the concept of the defilement and purification of beings in spite of the fact that all dharmas are isolated and empty." Subhuti said, "This is truly wonderful. And a bodhisattva who courses thus, he or she courses in perfect wisdom, because he or she then does not course in form or the other skandhas. When he or she courses thus, a bodhisattva cannot be crushed by the whole world with its gods, men, and asuras. When he or she courses thus, a bodhisattva surpasses the coursings of all the persons who belong to the vehicle of the disciples and pratyeka Buddhas, and he or she gains an insuperable position. For Buddhahood is insuperable, and so is Tathagatahood, the state of the self-existent, the state of all knowledge. A bodhisattva who day and night passes his or her time dwelling on these mental activities associated with perfect wisdom is quite near full enlightenment and shall quickly know it." Attentions to perfect wisdom and the pearl of great price. The Lord said, "So it is, Subhuti. Suppose, Subhuti, that all beings in Jambudvipa should simultaneously acquire a human personality, should raise their thoughts to full enlightenment, abide in that thought of enlightenment all their lives, and honor, revere, and worship the Tathagatas all their lives. If now, after all this preparation, they should give gifts to all beings, and turn the merit from that giving over into full enlightenment, would those bodhisattvas on the strength of that beget much merit?" Subhuti said, "They would, Lord." The Lord said, "Truly again, Subhuti, that son or daughter of good family begets a greater heap of merit, who, as a bodhisattva, dwells for even one single day only in mental activities connected with the perfection of wisdom. For as he goes on dwelling day and night in those mental activities, he or she becomes more and more worthy of the sacrificial gifts of all beings. Because no other being has a mind so full of friendliness as has he, except for the Buddhas, the Lords. And the Tathagatas, of course, are matchless without a like, endowed with unthinkable dharmas. How then does that son or daughter of good family at first aspire to that merit? He or she becomes endowed with that kind of wise insight which allows him or her to see all beings as on the way to their slaughter. Great compassion on that occasion takes hold of him. He surveys countless beings with his heavenly eye, and what he sees fills him with great agitation. So many carry the burden of a karma which leads to immediate retribution in the hells. Others have acquired unfortunate rebirths which keep them away from the Buddha and his teachings. Others are doomed to be killed, or they are enveloped in the net of false views, or fail to find the path, while others who had gained a fortunate rebirth have lost it again. And he attends to them with the thought that, I shall become a savior to all those beings. I shall release them from all their sufferings. But he does not make either this or anything else into a sign to which he becomes partial. This also is the great light of a bodhisattva's wisdom, which allows him or her to know full enlightenment. For bodhisattvas, when they dwell in this dwelling, become worthy of the gifts of the whole world, and yet they do not turn back on full enlightenment. They purify the gifts and offerings of those who give them the requisites of life, when their thoughts are well supported by perfect wisdom, and they are near to all knowledge. Therefore, a bodhisattva should dwell in this mental work associated with perfect wisdom, if he or she does not want to consume his alms fruitlessly, if he wants to point out the path to all beings, to shed light over a wide range, to set free from birth and death all the beings who are subject to it, and to cleanse the organs of vision of all beings. If he wishes to dwell in mental activities directed toward these goals, he should bring to mind mental activities associated with the perfection of wisdom. For one who decides to bring these to mind, his mind works on the welfare of all beings. But he should give no room to other mental activities, such as lack in perfect wisdom. If he or she acts so as the mental work, which is essentially a loving concern for beings, impels him, he spends his days and nights in mental activities associated with the perfection of wisdom. Suppose a man or woman, well versed in jewelry and the different varieties of jewels, had newly acquired a very precious gem. That would make him very glad and elated. If he again lost this precious gem, he would be most sad and distressed. Constantly and always, mental activities associated with that jewel would proceed in him, and he would regret to be parted from it. He would not forget about it until he had either regained this gem or gained another one of like quality and kind. Just so, a bodhisattva who has again lost the precious jewel of perfect wisdom, with a clear perception of the preciousness of perfect wisdom, and convinced that he has not been definitely parted from it, he should, with a thought that is not lacking in mental work on perfect wisdom, and which is directed to the state of all knowledge, search about everywhere until he has regained this sutra, or gained an equivalent one. All that time, he should be one who is not lacking in mental activities associated with the acquisition of the precious jewel of the perfection of wisdom, one who is not lacking in mental activities associated with the acquisition of the great jewel of all knowledge. Subhuti asked, But Since the Lord has taught that all dharmas and all mental activities are lacking in own being and empty, how then can a bodhisattva become one who is not lacking in mental activities associated with perfect wisdom or with all knowledge? The Lord said, if the mind of a bodhisattva works on the fact that all dharmas are, through their own being, isolated and empty, and agrees that that is so, then he or she becomes one who is not lacking in mental activities associated with perfect wisdom and with all knowledge. For perfect wisdom is empty. It neither increases nor decreases. Emptiness and growth in enlightenment. Subhuti asked, if that is so, how can a bodhisattva arrive without an increase in perfect wisdom at the full attainment of enlightenment? How can he know full enlightenment? The Lord said, in actual fact, a bodhisattva who courses in perfect wisdom neither increases nor decreases. Just as perfect wisdom is empty, without increase or decrease, just so also a bodhisattva is empty without increase or decrease. It is because of this fact, that is, that just as perfect wisdom is empty without increase or decrease, so also the bodhisattva is empty without increase or decrease, that a bodhisattva arrives at the full attainment of enlightenment, and thus knows full enlightenment. If a bodhisattva, when this is being taught, is not afraid nor loses heart, then he should be known as a bodhisattva who courses in perfect wisdom. Subhuti asked, does then perfect wisdom course in perfect wisdom? The Lord said, no, Subhuti. Subhuti asked, does the emptiness of perfect wisdom course in perfect wisdom? The Lord said, no, Subhuti. Subhuti asked, can one then apprehend outside the emptiness of perfect wisdom any dharma which courses in perfect wisdom? The Lord said, no, Subhuti. Subhuti asked, does emptiness course in perfect wisdom? The Lord said, no, Subhuti. Subhuti asked, can one apprehend in emptiness any dharma that courses in perfect wisdom? The Lord said, no, Subhuti. Subhuti asked, does emptiness course in emptiness? The Lord said, no, Subhuti. Subhuti asked, does form, etc., course in perfect wisdom? The Lord said, no, Subhuti. Subhuti asked, can one apprehend, outside form, etc., any dharma which courses in perfect wisdom? The Lord said, no, Subhuti. Subhuti asked, how then does a bodhisattva course in perfect wisdom? The Lord said, do you then, Subhuti, see a real dharma which courses in perfect wisdom? Subhuti said, no, Lord. The Lord said, do you see that perfect wisdom in which the bodhisattva courses as a real thing? Subhuti said, no, Lord. The Lord said, do you see as real that dharma which offers no basis for apprehension? Has that dharma by any chance been produced, or will it be produced, or is it being produced? Has it been stopped? Will it be stopped, or is it being stopped? Subhuti said, no, Lord. The Lord said, this insight gives a bodhisattva the patient acceptance of dharmas which fail to be produced. When he is endowed with that, he is predestined to full enlightenment. He is bound to progress toward the self-confidence of a Tathagata. It is quite impossible that a bodhisattva who courses, strives, and struggles in this way and progresses in this direction should not reach the supreme cognition of a Buddha, the cognition of the all-knowing, the cognition of the great caravan leader. Subhuti asked, can the true nature of all dharmas, which consists in the fact that they fail to be produced, can that be predestined to full enlightenment? The Lord said, no, Subhuti. Subhuti asked, how then in that case does the prediction of this dharma to full enlightenment take place? The Lord asked, Do you see as real that Dharma which has a prediction to full enlightenment? Subhuti said, No, Lord, I do not see any real Dharma which is at any time predestined to full enlightenment. Nor do I see any real Dharma which is known by the enlightened, which should be known to them, or by means of which they would have their full knowledge. It is because all Dharmas cannot be apprehended that it does not occur to me to think that this Dharma is known to the enlightened. This Dharma should be known to them. By means of this Dharma they do have their full knowledge.